damn boring.
What's going on, everybody? Well, we have a lot of Champions League action to cover following the finale of Matchday 5. For the second straight year, Barcelona find themselves eliminated from the tournament that they used to master, while Atletico Madrid find themselves in a Champions League exit as well following penalty chaos and VAR's impact on world football today. Does it do more bad than good? Antonio Conte has his opinion, and I have mine. Coming up next. So, following Barcelona's 3-0 defeat to Bayern Munich, they are out of the Champions League, and they will be playing in Europa League for the second straight year. This is the first time in almost 25 years that Barcelona have played consecutive years of football in the Europa League. For those who don't understand the difference between Europa League and Champions League, basically Champions League is the best quality from the best teams in the best leagues in the top five flights in Europe. And then the smaller clubs in Europe get to play a Champions League conference, which basically puts them in the league as well. And there's only 7 teams out of the 33 that compete that get into the Champions League. So the Champions League has the Bayern Munichs, the Manchester Cities, the Liverpools, the Chelseas, the Real Madrid, Barcelona, Dortmund, Inter Milan, Juventus, AC Milan, so on and so forth. That's just for people who don't understand the difference between Champions League and Europa League. And Europa League is just one step below that. So let's just say, for instance, in England, the first 4 teams in the table at the end of the season make Champions League football, and the 5th team is cemented into Europa League football, and the 6th place team faces the Europa League Conference League. So then the 6th place team plays games in order to get into the competition. And those standings kind of differentiate throughout Europe. In La Liga or in Germany, it's only top 3 go to the Champions League, and the 4 and 5 go into the Europa League, so on and so forth. So you understand what I'm saying. So this is a big deal for Barcelona. This has not ever happened in the Lionel Messi era, and once Lionel Messi left the club, Barcelona has played Europa League football. And now, I'm not saying anything against Europa League football and the competitors in there, because I know I'm going to get a lot of people reacting to this, but Europa League has always been the lesser of the two. And when you think of Champions League football, you think of the Didier Drogbas, you think of the Gerd Müllers. So for Barcelona and the squad that they have and the talent that Xavi has brought in, for them to be playing in Europa football this year is beyond belief. Xavi said that before the match even started against Bayern Munich, it was over. He said that Barcelona were visibly, mentally, and physically defeated once they heard that Inter Milan beat Victoria Plesnia. Because if Inter Milan lost, Barcelona had a chance. And Inter Milan played before the Barcelona game. So once Barcelona heard that Inter Milan won, they knew that they had no chance. So they kind of went out there and said, let's just play this game for ourselves. Let's just go out there, have fun, kick the ball around, maybe get in the back of the net. If we happen to score, great. If not, we're already going to the Europa League. So it's unfortunate for Xavi's men. I think the refereeing was a little one-sided in this, and I always liked Anthony Taylor. He's going to be one of the refs at the World Cup. I always liked his class, his style. But I do believe that a lot of the calls were in Bayern Munich's favor. However, the first 2 goals, Sadio Mane's goal, assisted by Serge Gnabry, and Choupo-Moting's goal, who's really on incredible form, by the way. Both of those goals, the offensive players for Bayern Munich were kept onside by the right back, he was playing left back for Barcelona in Hector Bellerin, the former Arsenal man and the fashionista. So I believe Barcelona, they obviously were not expecting this in the beginning of the season. Xavi wasn't expecting this in the beginning of the season. He wasn't sure how to react after the game. All he said was, look, we were defeated before the game even began. And Bayern Munich, they easily could have put up a worse scoreline for Barcelona. So that sees Barcelona out of the Champions League. One of the biggest surprises this year, as the club that says that they are more than a club is not playing Champions League football, and we will not see them in the round of 16 at all. Around the league, in the Champions League, we have a lot more action. Atletico Madrid, it was a great game, impulsing the entire way. Atletico Madrid needed a win to qualify for the round of 16. As we know, Bayern Leverkusen, the team that they were playing, who was managed by Xabi Alonso, they were already disqualified and they were playing in Europa League. So this was similar to today's game to Barcelona, really. This was kind of, let's just go out there and have fun. The game ends in a 2-2 draw, but in the 97th minute, Atletico Madrid gets awarded a penalty for a handball. Now, this is Atletico Madrid's chance. Diego Simeone was going crazy on the sideline. I'm not sure the exact ruling on this, and I wasn't the biggest fan that Atletico Madrid allowed 90 minutes to go, and they're only tied to Bayern Leverkusen. So I think that when it comes down to it, Atletico Madrid's going to be kicking themselves, telling themselves that, we scored 2 goals. We played decent. We played maybe a little bit better than decent. But in the end, we kind of had the chances and we just squandered them. So I think that Atletico Madrid will definitely regret those. But in the 97th minute, it was the 99th minute, Yannick Carrasco gets awarded the penalty for a handball against Bayern Leverkusen. Yannick Carrasco gets it saved. The deflection comes back out. Atletico Madrid tries to head it back in, hits off the crossbar, no goal. Deflection comes out, tries to shoot it again, deflected by his own player, by Yannick Carrasco. The player who missed the penalty blocked his teammate's penalty. Obviously, not on purpose. The game ends in a 2-2 draw. And Diego Simeone was not happy after the game. But at the same time, same thing with Xavi. What are you going to do? You're Atletico Madrid, and you're not used to, your expectations don't tell you to play in Europa League football. So this is going to sting for a while, and this is going to hurt, and as it should be, because if it doesn't sting, then that should tell you something about the squad you have and the manager you have, and maybe you need to make some serious substitutions, both on and off the pitch. So I think this is a time for Atletico Madrid. They're going to be coming back after the World Cup, their players, and they're going to be playing in Europa League. And the way that Atletico Madrid have been playing currently in both Champions League and La Liga, it doesn't seem like they're going to do well in the Europa League either. So their only chance of making Champions League next year is if they finish inside the top 4 or inside the top 3 this year in La Liga. And if that's going to happen, personally, I can't see it with this current side. So Atletico Madrid is out of the Champions League. Barcelona is out of the Champions League. Napoli just continue to succeed. No matter which way you look at it, it's really remarkable the run of form that Napoli are on. They scored 20 goals in this year's Champions League so far out of 5 games. So that's 4 goals a game, and they've only let in 4 goals. Goal differential 16. Liverpool sits in second following their win over Ajax. That was a great win. I like to see Ajax losing. They've now lost the last 4 in the Champions League. It was a 3-0 defeat to Liverpool. Rangers are left out of the tournament. So they are no longer part of the competition. In Group B, it's the winner is up for grabs between Club Brugge and Porto. Today, this is Atletico Madrid and Bayern Leverkusen's group. Today, Porto won against Club Brugge 4-0. That was a big defeat for Club Brugge, following what was a remarkable beginning of the Champions League season for them. They still sit in first, 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, plus 3 goal differential, 10 points. Porto have 9 points, so they're only 1 point behind them. Porto play Atletico Madrid next, and Club Brugge play Bayern Leverkusen next. Neither of those teams have a future in the Champions League. So whether they're going to go out guns a-blazing, kind of saying, if I can't be in it, I don't want you to be in it either. Or if they're going to say, you know what, have at it. We're not going to let you score 5 goals, but, maybe it'll be a 1-0 defeat to us. So it'll be interesting to see how Group E goes. But as we know, Club Brugge and Porto are definitely going through. The only question right now is who gets that number 1 spot, which ultimately means who gets the home field advantage in the round of 16. Group C, Barcelona is out, Victoria Plzeň is out, Bayern Munich cap off this group, and Inter Milan in second. Nothing really much to cover here. Inter can't catch Bayern. Bayern's on top of the world right now. Barcelona is out of the Champions League. In Group D, we had a lot of action. I want to cover it later with VAR, but we had a lot of action in the Tottenham, Spurs, and Sporting game today. The match ended in a 1-1 draw after a Harry Kane goal in about the 95th minute that was ruled off for offsides from the assist. It took about 3.5 minutes for them to make the decision, so not exactly what neither team wanted. Antonio Conte was sent off following the decision that the goal was disallowed. This is completely up for grabs, this entire group. Tottenham sits in first with 8 points. Sporting is in second with 7 points. Frankfurt is in third with 7 points. Marseille is in last with 6 points. So if Marseille beat Spurs, and Marseille's last, if Marseille beats Spurs and Sporting and Frankfurt both lose, then Marseille can see themselves at the top of this group. And then it's really up to the goal differential for the second place team, whether it's going to be Sporting, Spurs, or Frankfurt. Spurs currently have a +1 goal differential. Sporting has a 0. They're even. And Frankfurt has a -2. So that'll be interesting in match week 6. Who comes out on that front? Tottenham are not going to come out of the gates easy. They're going to go hard, and they're going to want this maybe a little bit more than Marseille. But, Marseille has a lot of quality. They put up goals almost at ease. So it'll be a little bit of a challenge for Tottenham. They've been struggling a little bit following their historical beginning of the season in the Premier League. But recently, they've kind of fallen off following their 1-1 draw to Sporting. So Group D, it'll be interesting to see who goes through there and really across the entire board. Who goes in, who finishes first, who gets relegated, and who just completely loses all around in the end. Group E, we see Chelsea. They will finish top of their group unless Milan wins their next game against Salzburg by 4 or more goals, following the goal differential rule. Chelsea is in first with 10 points. Milan's in second with 7 points. Salzburg's in third with 6. And Dinamo Zagreb is in last with 4. So same thing here. If Milan lose to Salzburg and Zagreb beat Chelsea, they did it before a month ago. They can do it again. By 7 or more, they could see themselves going through in the second place. But as it stands, it looks like Chelsea's gonna cap off this group, and Milan's gonna finish in second. Group F, Real Madrid see themselves first in their group. Leipzig second, Shakhtar Donetsk third, Celtic fourth. Celtic are out. Shakhtar Donetsk, they have a big game next week in match week 6. They're playing against RB Leipzig. This is for second place. If Shakhtar Donetsk beat Leipzig by 2 or more goals, they will see themselves through, and they will finish second in the league, in their group, meaning that they will go on to the round of 16. Real Madrid, they really won't. They qualified. The biggest question for them is, will they get the first place spot, which will see them with the home field advantage. They lost today to RB Salzburg, 3-2. For a second there, you thought Real Madrid could come back, but RB Salzburg said, you know what, I kind of want this a little bit more than you do. You've had your Champions League glory. Now it's my time. Group G, Manchester City is qualified for the round of 16. There's really no catching them. Borussia Dortmund is 3 points behind them, but a -5 goal differential comparatively. Sevilla is out. There's no chance that Sevilla makes it through. And Borussia Dortmund is playing Copenhagen. Copenhagen is also out. So currently, as it stands, City in first, Dortmund in second, and it looks like that is how it's going to finish. In Group H, PSG find themselves tied with Benfica on points. However, the goal differentials are different, but that doesn't matter because those two teams are tied on points, and the bottom two teams in Juventus and Maccabi Haifa are also tied on points, but in the other way. Juventus and Maccabi Haifa only have 3 points each, and PSG and Benfica have 11 points each. So Juventus do not see themselves in Champions League football this year, and they are not the only ones who are giants in world football and will not see themselves in the round of 16 in the biggest tournament in the world today. Unfortunate for them, but they had to see it coming with the missed transfers, the missed opportunities game in and game out, and the lack of quality that we saw all across the board throughout this entire group stage. So if you're surprised about it, let me know in the comments below. If I'm talking out of my backside, let me know as well. I want to know, but everything you need to know Champions League wise is here on the Pitch Blitz podcast. Don't go anywhere though, because next segment we're going to be talking a lot about VAR and the impact that it has not only on players' futures and how games turn out, but is it truly beneficial for players and fans, or does it really hurt us in the long run? Don't go anywhere. Stay tuned. So virtual assistant referee, as we all know, VAR, VAR, whatever you want to call it, was implemented into the game about a few years ago to improve the accuracy of several calls made during a single football match. It was considered a technological revolution that would make football decisions much more quick and more accurate and more decisive. VAR aimed to basically minimize less human mistakes in the game and at the same time ensure that it doesn't affect the flow of a game. However, ever since it was established in world football, there has been flaws, and there has been times where people question why it's even around. Whether it's for your club or against your club, everyone has an opinion on it. Everyone says to themselves, why does it have to be that way? Why, that wasn't a foul. Why do you have to go to look at a video all the way out in New York or wherever it is to see if a penalty should have been given? Most recently, and this has just come up following the Tottenham Hotspur game, where Harry Kane's goal was disallowed following an offside call that was not called on the pitch, but it was called on VAR, meaning that the goal was wiped out and the game ended in a 1-1 draw. Tottenham would have won if it weren't for VAR. So Antonio Conte was very furious after the game. Understandably, he got a red card following the announcement that the goal was disallowed. he bluntly said VAR is creating a lot of damage. And this is a technological, or supposed to be a technological advancement in world football. So how is it going to be an advancement if all it's doing is hurting clubs' futures or players' futures? And the inconsistency that you see is just remarkable all across the pitch. I mean, you go to, let's just say, in the box, okay? In the box, you get a foul, or you get what should have been a foul. Let's just say it was a standing tackle, and the offensive player goes down in the box. No fouls given, and they don't go to the VAR to double check. However, you as a fan sees it later on that it should have been a foul, and it's blatant. It's not an opinion. That's just soccer. That's football. That's the rule right there. If you do that, if you pull that jersey for too long and that player goes down, that's a foul. But all of a sudden, at that moment, VAR doesn't check it. But then on the other side of the field, if the opposing team is in their own 18, but is in your 18 box, and they go down, which you think they go down very easily, but nothing is called on the field. So you're like, okay, great. The ref is on our side. Ball goes out of play. Sometimes the ball could go out of play 3 to 5 minutes later. The passage of play is already at the other side of the pitch. And the referee could still blow the whistle and call for the VAR and check it and reverse the call. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. I am not a fan of VAR at all. Why was football so successful before VAR? If VAR is such a technological advancement, then why was football so successful in bringing in revenue, in bringing in broadcasting rights? People want to watch the sport because it's enjoyable to watch, not because they're concerned about whose fingernail is offside. I'm a big football fan. I love watching football. But what I hate is when they make a decision based off of someone's hair follicle being offside. It doesn't make sense to me. If the referee on the pitch who has a better view of the match than someone who's up in a booth or in their apartment in Barcelona or Los Angeles, and they're able to make the call, but not the guy who's watching it live on the field at most 15 feet away, 20 feet away. If he doesn't make the call, then there's no call. That's how I feel. And VAR, they are so... Red cards and yellow cards, I get. Okay? Maybe if the play seemed a little worse on video than it did in person, okay, I get that. All right? You're taking a player's health and safety at risk when you do that. If a player studs up into a tackle and goes right into the side of a knee, and you only give the guy a yellow card because you thought his shin hit his foot, but then VAR checks it and you see everything, and you give a red card, I'm all for it, okay? I am all for it. By no means am I saying take away VAR for yellow and red card bookings. What I am saying, let's get away from the talk about, was he offside? Was this a foul? He was only offside by a shoulder length. Oh, well, his entire body was behind the defender, but his arm was in the air past the defender, so he's offside. Come on! I get so frustrated when I see a player's hand offside and they call it offside. Come on. That's not football that we know and love. Football that we know and love, no matter what the ruling is on the field, you continue playing until that whistle blows. I get so frustrated by it. Go back to my question when I started this segment. If we needed VAR so badly, then why was football so successful? Not calling fouls or not calling an offside wasn't that instrumental in fans outraging over a loss or a player who's struggling in form gets a goal, and when you look at it later on, you see that he was offside. You didn't think to yourself, "Oh man, like they really should have like looked at that again." No, you don't do that. And if you think that it's right, that VAR is right, then just think about if a team is pressing, let's just say they're a Granada side in La Liga, a lower tier side playing up against, let's just say, Real Madrid, and they have one chance a game, and their chance is coming right now. They're on the fast break. Let's just say it's a 2v4, okay, and a ball is lifted over the top in favor of Sevilla. Ball's lifted over the top inside Real Madrid's 18 box, and they put it in the back of the net for a goal. Granada 1, Real Madrid 0. The line judge stays still. The line judge does not put his flag up. He doesn't say anything. He doesn't move. He just says goal, and the center judge says goal. But then all of a sudden, there's about 2 minutes of stoppage time after the goal is scored because the referee's talking. The center referee is talking to people in a press box somewhere looking at VAR, and they're telling him whether or not it was a foul and whether or not he should look at it or not. And they have the people up in the box, yeah, they are referees, okay? They're referees just as qualified as the guy is on the field. However, since that referee is just as qualified as everyone else, if he doesn't make the call, then he doesn't make the call. The play goes on. Stop with the. I understand that we're in 2022 when technology is just becoming more and more advanced. But when it comes into sports in this manner, that we're judging whether a goal should be allowed or not based off of a toe. I mean, a toe does not give an offensive player that much of an advantage against a defender. Come on. And the amount of time that it takes for VAR to get involved and make a decision is also just absolutely absurd to me. I don't understand how a play can be scored. Let's just go to today. In the Tottenham Hotspur versus Sporting game, Harry Kane scores a goal in stoppage time in the 96th minute, 97th minute. The goal was called as a goal on field. The referee says that's a goal all the way. However, the guys up in the box in VAR say, let's wait a little bit. Why don't you go take a look at it? We think it was offside by the player who got the assist. The ball was behind the defense. It was close, okay? It was close. The ball was behind the defense. The ball was in front of the defense. His body was behind. So the line that you saw in VAR was a straight line. The ball was on the left side. His entire body was on the right side, but his head, it was a header, the assist. His head was touching the ball. So his head was onside where the ball was being hit, but his body was on the right side. Harry Kane then gets the ball and puts it in the back of the net. You tell me, how is that offside if the body of the ball that is being hit by that player, that the body is offside, but the ball is on. If the ball is onside and his body's onside and nothing is called on the field, and there's no argues for offside on the pitch, let the game go. It's getting ridiculous. And VAR takes God knows how long for a simple call. And all it does is just increase the length of the game. There's a lot of critics talking about that the game needs to be minimized and, maybe only do a maximum of 2 to 3 minutes in stoppage time, both halftime and full time, to better the players' fitness and the fans as well. But the VAR, how does that help at all? How is that a technological advancement? If anything, that is a killer. That is a killer. And it's unfortunate that there are so many people for it. And all I have to say is that the only reason why people are for VAR is because their club or their player was never held back by it. And I'm not trying to sound like VAR always holds my team and my players back. However, VAR needs to be more consistent. VAR needs to be quicker. That was their mission statement when it was first established, is that it's going to be a quick and decisive play call. Well, we still have yet to see that, and I want to see it, because I'm not watching a game to watch some millionaire refs stand around a pitch talking to someone up in the attic of their grandparents' apartment waiting for a call in the 97th minute to decide if one team goes through to the Champions League or not. It's just getting absolutely out of hand. I'm not a fan of VAR. I like the thought. However, I hate the inconsistency, and I hate that the preciseness that a fingernail could be offside. A toenail could be offside. An eyebrow could be offside. Your shoulder that isn't even involved in the play could be offside. And I understand that it's the player's body. Trust me, I get all that. I'm very knowledgeable in this sport. But what I am saying is that there's no reason that a goal should be called offside if a small portion of a person's body is offside. That is where I lay with the VAR ruling. But unfortunately, I think we're running out of time. I'm about to lose my voice. I had a very exhausting week of Champions League football. I have to say, though, that it was really enjoyable to see Barcelona exit the Champions League, as well as Juventus and Atletico Madrid. Match week 6 is coming up. As we all know, FIFA World Cup is coming up in a little less than a month now. So stay tuned to the Pitch Blitz podcast for everything you need to know regarding the World Cup. You can listen to us on TikTok, Instagram, as well as Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, and Google Music. And all of our videos are both streamed on. Some clips are on TikTok, but all of the full episodes are on YouTube. So please reach out at The Pitch Blitz. That is at The Pitch Blitz. Blitz is with a Z. So once again, everybody, thank you very much for tuning in to another episode of the Pitch Blitz podcast. Take care. Go watch some football and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.